So welcome to Metal Gear Solid. We're going to be going over some of the Big Boss strats for extreme difficulty in this game, but we're also going to talk about some of the differences from this video and the previous video, which was the Twin Snakes version, which was the 2004 remake of this game. So one of the main differences we're going to talk about real fast is the difficulty changes. In the original game, Hard and Extreme, you do not have a minimap. The radar is completely turned off. There's no way to re-enable it no matter what. Whereas in the remake and also in the later games such as Metal Gear Solid 2, you're able to have the radar on no matter what difficulty you're on, and you're able to utilize that as an extra tool. We do not have that luxury today, so we're going to have to go over physical and audio cues in order to be able to differentiate where we need to be and how we go through the game. We are going to still do this under the normal difficulty because the extreme strats for Big Boss still work on normal. You just won't be able to get a Big Boss title because it has to be done on extreme. But we will be going over the same things, and we're going to do this on normal just to kind of have a little bit of a safety net, because we're purposely going to do things wrong and we're going to get in trouble and we're going to do all kinds of other things just to showcase the options and the variables that are going to happen in the game. So let's jump right into it, and the first place we're going to go into obviously is the docks. And to talk about it briefly, we're going to be using some visual cues in order to manipulate our way through the docks, and I'm going to purposely try to forget that there's a radar there, and I'm going to show you what it is you have to look for in order to get through this area on the harder difficulties. Now, the pattern for patrol is always the same in this game, unlike in the later games where the patterns of patrolmen can vary depending as to the difficulty level. They're always going to be in these positions that you see on the minimap. So our visual cue is that right there, the CG artists. When you see that, you can run past that guard and slip through onto the right. Once he moves away, you're able to run in this direction and hide behind the truck. We're going to press our backs and we're going to look at that guard and we're going to watch him. He's the one guard we actually have to manipulate. Unlike in Twin Snakes where we have a locker that we can hide in, we don't have that here. So we need to actually change his patrol timing. The way we do that is waiting for him to stop right here. Once he stops, we're going to knock, and we're going to run around. And this works, like I said, on any difficulty. This is what we do for Big Boss. And then here is where we stay until the elevator shows up. There's going to be one small manipulation for the elevator that allows us to slip past the guard even though we're running right in front of his line of view, and it just makes it just a little bit easier. So I'm going to make a quick little save state once the elevator shows up, and I'm going to show what happens if you do it right and when you do it wrong. Alright, so this is the elevator skip, and just to kind of showcase, you see how the elevator is actually pixelating through the wall because it's actually larger than the inside area. We're going to wait for that portion of the elevator to touch Snake's elbow pad. If we do it too early where it's above the dark elbow pad, we'll knock on the wall, but the guard won't be able to hear it, and we won't actually manipulate him in any way, which will cause him to actually see us when we run to the left. If we do it too late, however, just past the end of that elbow, he's going to hear it, but he's going to be at a low enough plane as far as the game is registering that he's actually going to see us as we run in front of him. So we do it right at the elbow, we'll be able to knock on the wall, the guard will hear it and become inquisitive to what he heard, but we can run right in front of his vision and he won't see us because for some reason the game still thinks that he's on a higher floor than we are, and we can just pass right through, even though on the mini map, as you'll see here on normal, that we're actually right in front of his vision. So the next area is going to be the helipad, and there is one small little strat that we're going to do, and it's just kind of a timing based strat, because what we're going to do is we're immediately going to grab the chaff grenade. Sorry about that. The game closed out. The emulator crashed. So we're back at the codec call at the helipad. Like I said, the one strat we're going to do is we're going to use a timing with the chaff grenade that's right in the central lights. And there's a difference with the central lights here versus in the Twin Snakes version. In the Twin Snakes version, the searchlights go from left to right, whereas in this game, they go from top to bottom. So we're going to grab the chaff grenade and then immediately use it as soon as we get it. But we're going to keep the grenade equipped because it gives us faster run speed. So wait for the light to pass. Grab. Throw. And like I said, we're going to keep the grenade equipped pretty much for the remainder of the run. We're always going to keep a weapon in hand. And the reason for that is Snake gets like a 10 or 15% run speed increase. And then we're just going to pass through this guard and the vent, and the camera's not going to see us because it was still under chaff. So that's the timing. If you do it any slower, it might throw you off a little bit, or at least slow you down. If you're too quick with it, however, it is possible to throw the grenade just a little bit too early, and then the grenade ends just as you're entering, and the camera will actually still see you. So that's around the timing as you want to grab it, is as soon as you pick it up, you want to equip, and right as Snake is reaching the sidebar of the letter H for the helipad is about your throwing time. That's your visual cue for the throw. And that guard and that pattern is the same no matter what difficulty. We're going to do the same pattern on BigBoss runs as well. So these are all the same strats. As for the tank hanger here, there's going to be the same pattern every time. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to manipulate one of the guards to allow us to get to the elevator a little bit sooner by knocking on side of the tank. What is that? And then we're just going to double tap the elevator. In this game, which is the only Metal Gear game that does this, the elevators actually will open and spawn instantly if you double tap them, which is actually really awesome. The only time you don't want to double tap is if you already hear the elevator opening. Like if you hear the whooshing sound, chances are it's going to open before you hit the button again anyway, so we're not going to worry about that. So this is the famous vent glitch. And this is the vent that we're going to use to initiate the glitch. Now, there is a visual indicator on Snake that we're going to use to be able to judge and gauge how far in the vent we need to be. So if you look at Snake's right leg, you'll notice that he has the knee pads and then he has the leg band. That upper leg band is actually what we're going to use as an indicator. We want that leg band to disappear into the vent before we start initiating the glitch. That's our visual cue. And the reason for that is, if I demonstrate here, the way Snake works when he's in prone position is he will stand up at the location of his knees, not where his feet, his belly, or his chest is. He'll actually stand up at the location of where his knees are. So if you look at where he's at here, if I bring myself back onto this dotted line over here, if I stand up, Snake's on that line. So that's why we need to pass that section through the vent. So once again, we're going to line ourselves up, go prone, and we're going to walk ourselves backwards slowly until that disappears. So the only thing you should see is the remaining back straps, which are like in the shape of a letter V on his upper legs. So the way this glitch is initiated is we're going to hold first person view, which is triangle, and hold up. As you see on the inputs, both are being held simultaneously. What I'm going to do is I'm going to release both at the same time and immediately press the crouch button, which will stand Snake back up. If done correctly, Snake will phase into the wall because of where his leg location is, and will actually, because of this normal difficulty, there's a ration in the vent that you saw that will actually pick up instantly. So this is how it should be done. As you can see, I'm actually inside. There's Johnny. Hi, Johnny. He's having a bad day. We picked up the ration, and as you can see, we're actually on top of the vent. We're actually in the wall here. Now, as you can see there, we have the radar, which would make this easy on both normal and easy difficulties to be able to get to where we need to be. However, we're practicing for extreme, so we're actually going to be using visual and audio cues for this. So if you notice, as I turn Snake southward, that my arm actually goes through the wall because I'm holding the grenade. We're going to be using this almost like a shark fin in the water to kind of navigate our way around the wall and get to where we need to be. So as soon as we get to the corner, and if you look carefully, his hand kind of goes through the wall. Once he passes this plane, you want to press up. Okay, so your visual cue, ignoring the mini-map, is as he's running through, as soon as you pass that corner. As soon as you pass that corner, you know you're clear to go up until you hear Snake hit a wall. This codec calls annoying. So if you listen carefully, you hear Snake hitting a wall. What you're going to do is you're going to press it against the wall and hold left and up at the same time until the camera changes. Once the camera changes, you're going to try to finagle your way and re-cue for that door. And that should load you into the prison section. Doing this skips 30 minutes of the actual game, because we wind up skipping 5 bosses. In order, we wind up skipping Ocelot, the tank, we then wind up skipping Grey Fox's ninja fight, we then skip Psycho Mantis, and eventually Sniper Wolf. All 5 of those bosses have now been considered completed, even though we didn't actually fight them. And there's Johnny again. Like I said, he's having a bad day. He had some bad fish or something, and he's not feeling well. He's not feeling well, but he's our buddy, and we're not going to hurt him. Even though in this game he is a killable enemy because he has not been given any canonity yet. That's not until the later games where they repeat the funny guard in the later games and they give him a name and make him an important character. In the original, he's just another guard. So he is killable, but we're not going to kill him. We're actually going to let him live because, you know, he's a good guy. He means well. The one glitch we're going to do here, or not glitch, but manipulation, is this line right here. See that line? I'm going to go until it disappears, and we're going to wait for Johnny to come back. When Johnny comes back, he's going to notice that we're gone, and then we're going to exit from the underneath the bed. And what this does is this speeds up his walk cycle. As simple as that is, what it does is it allows him to skip his sleep cycle. If he went to the bathroom and came back and we didn't do this manipulation, he would pass by here, walk past the door, then go to sleep for about roughly 42 seconds, wake up, and then continue another patrol pattern, and then open the door. We don't want to deal with all that. We don't want to deal with 3 passing by cycles, so we're just going to do this and makes it faster. Now, as you can tell real fast, I have no health. This game works on a rank up system, so every time you defeat a boss, Snake will increase the amount of health and the amount of ammo which he can hold. They're not at maximum by default, unlike in the later games and the remakes. So, because of this, we have very little amount of health. So if we wanted to pretend that Snake's maximum health is equal to that of 100, right now we're only probably sitting around like 40. 2 to 3 hits and we're dead. So the issue that we have here is if you're looking to do a Meryl save run, where you don't submit to the torture, you're going to have to mash really, really hard. And on the extreme difficulty, the bar is almost, I think, almost always maxed out for the time you have to mash, and you have to do it, I think, 6 or 7 times. So be prepared to do a lot of mashing, but because we're going to be doing this for speed, and this is meant to be as a speed run, we're actually just going to submit to the torture before it even starts and get the Otacon ending, which would normally net you the stealth camouflage.
Snake, it's showtime. Ocelot wants you.
You win.
Had enough? So, you're human after all. The torture will stop as I promised. But I'll take the woman in return. I'll have my fun with her before I kill her.
Meryl.
I hope you can still look at yourself in the mirror, my friend.
Yes. Yes, I can. So now we only have to wait for the escape sequence. So Johnny's going to get another bathroom call, and when that happens, Otacon's going to come in and give us all the gear we need to get out. And just like in the Twin Snakes video that you saw, we're going to use the ketchup to mock blood, but there is one difference. In the Twin Snakes version, we laid down in this kind of position to be able to get out. Because of the way Snake's legs work, just like with the vent, we're actually going to do a different setup. So we're actually going to lean our backs against the door here, and we're going to do the same lineup to where you see Snake's leg band disappear underneath the door. If you go back any further than this, Snake will actually just press up against it. We can't phase through this wall. However, when we go to stand up, we'll be in that doorway, which will allow us to actually kill Johnny before the alert happens. So Johnny has a scripted alert that can happen if he spots you. However, because of this setup, you can actually grab him before he initiates it, because we're inside his hitbox. So if I was in the Twin Snakes position where I was in front of the door doing this, what would eventually happen is as soon as I stood up like this, he would sound the alert. But because we're standing up in his hitbox and there's no hit detection, we're actually immediately able to spam square and start strangling him before it actually initiates. It allows you to skip one alert, because for Big Boss in this game you have to have less than 6 alerts, I think it is, and that would be one that you can avoid.
Oh, jeez. He's coming back. See you later.
Wait.
Making a quick save state here because I want to showcase actually being able to kill him, but I'm then going to reset because, like I said, I don't want to kill Johnny. I like Johnny. And then if you would kill him, you would switch to your ID card, which cancels the last couple frames of the animation, and then run through the door. But like I said, I don't want to actually kill Johnny because I like Johnny. So what we're going to do instead, we're just going to try to escape, and we're going to run into the torture room, and it's going to allow Johnny to live. Also, it's just much funnier. Poor Johnny. I mentioned in the Twin Snakes video that it sounds like as if he's just vomiting in that version because of the way the audio is recorded. But in this game, he sounds in genuine pain and agony, and you almost want to feel bad for the guy, which is kind of why I didn't want to kill him. Then again, maybe that'd have been a mercy. Sorry, guy. Alright, so let's grab our gear and we're going to get out of here. And if you follow the line in which I run, you'll notice that we won't have much of an issue getting hurt. So what you saw there was the judo toss trick, and the way it works is because Snake has to have a weapon in his hand at all times in order to get the movement speed, he's not able to flip an opponent. However, if we're quickly unequip the weapon, hit the square button, which is the weapons attack button, and then immediately re-equip, what happens is it cancels the animation that Snake has of somersaulting the actual guard, but the guard still gets thrown. If you do it too fast, however, though, it is possible to even cancel. Sorry about that. My audio jack kind of jacked up on me. So like I said, if you go too fast, what can happen is you will actually cancel the throw animation, which is alert the guard to your presence. It unfortunately can be an issue if you go too fast, if you're a little bit in a hurry, but if you do it right, it won't be a problem. What we're going to do here, though, is we're actually going to grab this PSG-1 sniper rifle, sort of. And the reason why I say sort of is because you're going to notice that when we try to pick up the box, it won't let us. But when we look in our inventory, it'll be there. And that was bad positioning on my part. We get to do the throw again, though. Right there. Notice that it came up red. But if you look in our inventory, the PSG-1 is there, and it says 0 of 0. And this goes back to the rank up system that I had mentioned earlier in the run, where as each boss you beat progressively gives Snake more health and more ammo supply. The PSG-1 requires you to beat the first 4 bosses to be able to actually pick this weapon up and have an ammo capacity. It's okay though, because we're going to get ammo capacity later for the run, but as of right now, it's just glitched into our inventory. So we're just going to make our way back out of here and head to the tank hangar. And then we're just going to leave via the airlock on the far right side of the room, just like we did in the previous video. The difference is in the snowfield, however. In this version of the game, there is absolutely no guards, and there's only claymore mines at this point. Later on in the game, if you're playing this game casually, or if you're just a completionist and you want to get every item in the game and you return to this area will have the claymore mines as well as 4 cameras. So there's going to be 2 cameras with really large viewpoints that are going to be on this wall coming up and that wall on the opposite side, and then there'll be 2 turret cameras that'll be underneath the doorway, one on each side. Because this is this area at this time of the game, there's not going to be any of that, and we just passed the claymore mines. This is the tank fight that we clearly had fought and won. If you blinked, you may have missed it, but we clearly won this fight. It was single-handedly the easiest thing we've ever done. And we're going to grab this group of grenades right here. And we're going to need those later for a portion in the run. Now, inside this tank building, the nuclear building, I'm sorry. So we get a rank up right here as if we had beaten the tank, and it works in our favor. So what we're actually going to do
is we're going to follow a specific line here because we cannot phase through the wall, unlike in Twin Snakes. In Twin Snakes, we're actually able to, because we have crouched movement along a wall, and in the original game we do not, we can't actually use that glitch here. So if you just follow this line, however, though, you'll be fine on Extreme. That guard at the top, we're going to have to flip, however. And then we just mash through the elevator and make our way to the first floor basement. This is a really, really tight window here. If I screw it up, even on normal, I will get seen. But this is the tight window you have to perform, even on extreme. You have to grab all of those, make your way up here, grab this stun grenade, and get out of the room before he sees you. It's really tight, and it's even tighter on extreme. If you delay even a moment, a half a second even, you will get spotted, and you can gain an extra alert that will go against your big boss run. So we get another rank up here because of Mantis Room, but because of Mantis's sudden death, the bookshelf never got moved. He never got to move the bookshelf for us. So you would think that we would be locked out, but we can actually just phase right through. And this would be our first time actually going into this cave area. And because we have the handkerchief, or in the Japanese version it's known as the scarf, so for anyone's running the either PAL, International, or Japanese versions, those are the two names for this item. So you have the handkerchief or the scarf. They're both from Sniper Wolf, which allows us to get through. And we're going to be coming across the radio tower, and this will be my hated area in Twin Snakes, but I kind of like this area in the original game because stun grenades are ridiculously overpowered in this game compared to the remake. In the remake, the stun grenades actually have a radius of effect. They actually have a certain way in which you're intended to use them, whereas in this game, because of the limitations of the engine and so on at the time, the stun grenades are just a room-wide hit, and everything is your victim as a result of it. So we're actually going to use that as a key to our advantage here as we climb. There is a specific way about going through this area though, however, and it's a little bit different from the Twin Snakes version, and I'll go over some of the differences as we approach. So there's going to be one turret that's coming up right here, and if we hug that right wall, it won't be able to hit us. Now these turrets actually count as being spotted in this version of the game, whereas in the Twin Snakes Extreme Run, they do not. So that's why we're limited to 6. We're limited to 6 detections in this run. So I made a save state here because I just kind of want to go over a few differences. So in the Twin Snakes version of the game, this door right here that we go through has these tripwires that start the cutscene, and then guards come down this hallway chasing you. And what you have to do is you have to throw a stun grenade into the door before you even go through it. So you would have to do something like start cooking it here, and then make your way all the way over here, and then throw it, and then go through the door, and it would start this cutscene where the guards come out and chase you. We can actually skip that in this game, which actually causes those 2 guards to actually never spawn, because their spawn trigger is actually that little mini cutscene. If that cutscene never plays, those 2 guards actually don't spawn, because their spawn point is actually right here. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to throw a stun grenade into that room because it's a camera, as you saw, and it'll actually start the alert ahead of schedule. So our cook time for this particular throw is different from the Twin Snakes, and it's actually at this point. So when you're rounding the corner and Snake hits this line right here, if you line them up against this part of the wall, you can even just stand here appropriately and then get yourself ready. You're going to cook the grenade. As soon as the door opens, you're going to throw the grenade in the room, but do not cross the plane of the doorway. If you enter the room it's going to initiate that cutscene that we just saw. We don't want to do that. We just want to start the alert ahead of schedule. So this is how we go about it. That was a bit too early. We'll try it again. And the amount of stun grenades we have is set in stone. We don't have any extra, so that's why I made the save state here. Now those two guards don't spawn, and we're able to make our way up. Now we're going to start throwing on the 7th floor, and our cue for that is when we get to the red door, that's floor number 4. So then we're going to count pillars in order. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then 3 we're going to release. Throw a grenade. Uncooked. Now we're going to get to the mid floor, and at the top of the stairs we're going to throw it into the door. And hugging that right wall, both guards are now going to be down. Immediately throw another grenade as you pass the second guard. Throw a grenade right here. I was a little slow there and I messed it up. I might have to do this again. Yeah, I'm just going to do it again. So when you get to that second guard again from where I got hit, you want to release another grenade. And there's going to only be one guard at that point, but you're going to immediately release a grenade on the guard's body. Those are your visual cues for this, is when you pass the last guard in each of the individual spawn sections, you're going to release a grenade. So let's try to do this in real time. Now we're going to punch, and we're going to try to throw this guard, but we might take a hit. This is going to be red door number 1, and we're going to throw it at red door number 2. Or just after, right as we hit the stairs, right after red door number 2. Here's red door 2, and throw. These last 2 grenades we do not use, but we keep them in our hands so we can keep the movement speed. And we're going to make our way to that ladder. If you do those strats perfectly, you'll actually take no damage on the entire stair climb, which is actually really nice. I always seem to get hit by the somersault guy. I always take that hit for some reason. I'm not as practiced as I would like to be there, but it can be done. And as for the one guard that got a shot on me, that was just pure luck. So this is going to be our rappel sequence, and there is kind of a little bit of a strat, but it mostly comes down to practice. So I'll try to showcase the method in which we go through. To get through this cutscene fast, just hold X and hold up, and it'll actually just bring you into the rappel sequence. So as soon as we get an option, we're going to hold down and mash X. And this is going to give us our first jump before Colonel calls us. Colonel's going to try to call us and tell us how to rappel, but we can actually get one quick movement in before he calls. So if you just do as you see on the inputs, you'll actually get one quick jump to kind of beat ahead of the schedule. So I messed up there a little bit. I got a little bit of bad luck. Got hit by liquid twice. What you want to do as far as damage is concerned, on normal it doesn't matter. We can actually just eat a ration, which we're actually going to do right now for safety purposes because there's a ration right here. But what you want to do is actually take the following in terms of damage. Preferably none at all, if you can do that. If you have to take damage, you want to take no more than 3 steam vents if you must. The average you actually want to go for, though, however, is only 2. If you can go through this entire rappel with only the 2 steam vent, then it's fine. You do never want to take 2 shots from liquid like I just did there on extreme. He does way too much damage. You'll actually not have enough life for the up and coming glitches that we need to get through the next 2 areas, because we have to take damage for those glitches. Because of that, we're limited to those either 2 steam vents or 1 steam and 1 liquid. Keep in mind, though, however, that if you took the 2 steam vents, you'll have just a little bit more life than if you took 1 shot from liquid and 1 steam vent. You just have to come down to practice, and it just comes to muscle memory. There is no glitch in this one like there is in Twin Snakes, where we can just glitch out of the rappel sequence and skip the entire thing. That is unfortunately not an option here. We actually just have to be good at it and get a lot of practice in. So the items you saw me pick up, with the exception of the C4 that was right here, are non-required for this run. We're actually really not worried about the PSG1 ammo anymore. We're good on ammo. We didn't need to grab those boxes. I just grabbed them because the ration was there for this run. The C4, however, the 2 charges of C4 here are required for this run. We're going to need those 2 charges of C4 for glitches coming up. So what we're going to need here is we're going to need those last 2 stun grenades that we made mention of, and we're going to need our ID card. So if you look carefully, as a matter of fact, because this is normal, see these 3 guards here? We're actually going to go through these 3 guards, but we're not going to use the sniper rifle at all. Instead, we're actually just going to run through and stun them. And our timing for doing this, sorry, the phone was ringing, is this floor right here. See this line? When we start passing that line is when we're going to throw the first stun grenade, and we're going to hug this left side railing. Once you hear the music playing of combat, you're going to run from this rail to this rail and then immediately back. Keep in mind that if you go too fast, they can retarget you, and if you go too slow, they will retarget you. So there is this little grace window in between where you can actually make it in between the volleys of fire. So make a quick save state, and we're going to show this in real time. And that is how it's done if done right. Now, if you notice, we grabbed the Stinger missile, but just like with the PSG1, it was red, but it's there in our inventory. It's there 0 of 0. So we're actually going to be using this for a glitch right now. We just have to go to the area to set it up. And grab those grenades, because we may need them for the run. There are safety batch of grenades. So we have a total of 8 regular grenades. If done right, we only need 4 of them. If done wrong, well, we have the extra spare 4 to get through the area a little bit easier. So the up-and-coming glitch is known as a weapons swap glitch, and was actually discovered by a runner known as MG Slade, and one of the best runners in this game. So we have to see that little cutscene of where Snake says damn in order to start the glitch for this skip. So it's hard to see, but you see Snake's elbow and how it is with that far right wall rail that's there. This is the position that we're going to lay a C4 charge. So I'm actually going to make a save state here, and we're going to put the C4 on the ground, not against the wall. And then we're going to switch to chaff grenades. Now, you see this line right here that's on the metal, this line that separates the 2 planks? We're actually going to try to lay down like this, as close to it as we possibly can. Now, the way this glitch works is we're going to ignite the C4 charge. I'm then going to unequip as I take the damage, the ID card, immediately hold first person view and mash all of these buttons that you see here. Do not, under any circumstances, touch the remaining 3 buttons on the right hand side of your controller. Don't touch square, X, or circle. It would actually interrupt with the glitch. You can still hold triangle, you need to do this so forever, but you're going to be mashing all of these buttons as hard as you can. Your visual cue of when to stop is Snake is actually on his own going to stand up like this. Now, I obviously hit the input, you're not going to have to hit the input. He's going to do it on his own. Once he does that, we're then going to swap the chaff grenades for the stinger missiles, and it'll allow us to actually use them, even though they say 0-0. Now, as you see, I have the stinger missile, I'm not in first person view, and I can run around. Also, your telltale sign is not only this, but Snake is still in the same body posture as if he was holding a grenade. And this is important. This is how we're actually going to get through the next area. So, we're actually going to skip the cutscene where Otacon talks to us about love on the battlefield before the next Sniper Wolf fight. We're going to skip that cutscene by using invulnerability frames from taking damage, as well as skipping past the first camera. So our cook time for this new setup, making a safe state right here, is right as this camera turns. Right as the camera turns from this angle to this angle is when we're actually going to start cooking this grenade. This, though he has a stinger missile in his hand, it's acting as a chaff grenade. So it'll act the exact same way. So we're going to cook and we're going to run. Now, the visual cue of where you do not want to pass under any circumstances is, see, we have, let me back up just a little bit here. You have square 1, and then you have square 2. You do not want to pass the final edge of square 2 before the grenade blows up in your hand. You're going to actually hold this grenade until it explodes in your hand, and that's going to give you the invulnerability frames. But because you're invulnerable, that what's going to happen is the floor trigger, which is right immediately after that, will not be able to detect you, so you actually pass through, skipping the entire cutscene. Additionally, because we saw the dam cutscene earlier at the stairs, the boxes that would normally be blocking our way have already been moved and are actually invisible, so we can actually pass right through them if done right. Also, the timing of this will allow us to get through the first turret camera without having to use another backup chaff grenade. So notice our chaff grenades right now are 5 of 5. If done right, we'll pass the first camera and still be 5 of 5. So let's try this in real time. Immediately switch to chaff and run through. Hug the left rail, it lets you climb just a little bit faster because of rounding the corner. And if done right, we pass the camera. Now we just keep doing your normal climb where we would throw a chaff grenade right about here and we run past the double camera. We do it again for the triple and then the quadruple. And that'll be our final chaff grenade in this climb. Now normally, if you're practiced enough, confident enough, you can just take this ladder immediately. However, if you feel as though that you're here to practice or you just want to be a little bit more careful, you can actually grab this box of chaff grenades right here, which will give you an extra 3. Now this is what would normally lead us into the Hind D fight, except we're not going to do that. So we're actually going to skip the Hind D, which will be boss number 6 in this run so far that we will skip. Because we skipped the first 5 that I mentioned earlier, and now this boss makes number 6. So far we've skipped 6 bosses. That's why this major route is such a large time save, why it skips. In total, if you to count everything that is actually being skipped in the large skip run, you're probably skipping maybe closer to about 40 to 40 something minutes of playtime, because we skipped 30 minutes with just the vent alone. Just getting into that torture area is 30 minutes by itself, thereabouts, on the PS1. If you had the official PC port, the official one that came out in like 99 or 2000, you skip about 20 minutes because the load times are a little bit better. But that doesn't count the fact that we're skipping this Hind D fight, which is about maybe a 3-minute fight in itself. So we're already looking at, let's say for argument's sake, 35 minutes to round up. So the next strat we're going to do is we're going to use those grenades that we talked about. And there's going to be a specific timing as to when we want to cook the grenade. So this right here, as we exit this corner, I call this corner 1, and then I call the next one corner 2. And the reason for that is because this is where our cooking time is going to be on the grenades. But there is a little bit of key input manipulation we want to do for the right timing. So if you notice, if I hold down, just strictly down, notice where Snake is when the camera turns. He takes a wide angle. We don't want to do that because it actually throws up our cook time. So what we want to do is actually hold down and left, and see how Snake actually veers back into the railing. This is our timing. When Snake finishes veering into the railing and he angles himself, straightens himself out, that's when we start cooking the grenade. And then we're going to hold just down and not down left. That way, when we go through the camera transition on the next flight, Snake will be in this position. Just realized I was muted. Sorry, the dog was barking at the door. I had some aggro. To explain what I was doing there, I'll actually just go through the whole scenario again. This is corner 1, and that's where the cameras are going to be, right? So actually this is corner 2. I apologize. So the way we want to go through this, as you probably saw, and I was messing up the mic audio, sorry. If you turn the camera normally, Snake is in this outward fashion as you're holding just the down button. See how wide his arc is? We don't want him to do that. We actually want him to hug the left railing. So we're going to actually hold down left, and then cook the grenade, and then hold just down, and then release the grenade. And the timing for that is what you saw. I'm just going to do it in real time, and I can explain it a little bit faster afterwards. And there I messed up my timing and I actually took a hit, which I don't want to do. Okay, so we're back to where we wanted to be. I just destroyed the last of the 4 camera sets. And like as I was mentioning before, the timing for it is when you round that corner. So you want Snake to actually do this when he rounds that corner. Notice his body actually veers into that rail. That's what we want. That's our cook time. And then we release on the top 2 dark steps of the following staircase. So the camera's gone, and this is the last 3 grenades that we have. And we don't need these grenades anymore, so I'm okay with using them right here. I'll just do a quick little save state. And we're just going to showcase what it should be in real time. So that would be cook. This would be release. And then they would blow up and you would destroy the cameras. Now, in the up-and-coming area, we're actually going to unequip everything from Snake, and we're going to go through another small little pixel glitch, which these are the boxes that we went through before, as you probably remember, and now they're back in our way. So if we actually go too far forward, I'm making a quick save state to showcase this. If we go too far forward, what can actually happen is we can actually go through these boxes, and then we are soft locked at that point. At that point, there is no way for us to progress. What we want to do is we want to actually get on top of those boxes. Now, unlike in the later games where there's an action button to climb, we don't have that here. So we actually just have to glitch and pixel our way through it. So we unequip everything from Snake, so that way his body posture is something we can manipulate a little bit easier. And we want to try to get our shadows to be somewhere around this location, and then hope for a fast ascension. Just like that. Now, if you hold down in this position on the controller, I'll make a save state here to be safe. If you hold down, what's going to happen is you're going to fall off and you're stuck in this area, and now there's no way to proceed in the game. We are officially unable to continue, and we have to start from scratch. Instead, when you get on top of the box like this, you're going to hold left. Just like so. And because there's no grip mechanic in this game, we have no fall damage in this game. So we take absolutely no fall damage. These chaff grenades you don't have to grab unless you want to for safety purposes or just for your own personal convenience. You do lose about like 2 seconds grabbing them, but we don't have to grab them, and we actually don't need this many chaff grenades. The only thing we do need right now is the card key, and we're just going to go through the area. So immediately as soon as you fall, you're going to throw a chaff grenade, hug this wall until it explodes, and then go through. And if you hug this wall and turn properly, that final camera should not hit you, but sometimes it's a jerk and hits you anyway, even though the chaff is going off. There's no rhyme or reason to it, it'll just do that. So now we're going to do one more weapon glitch for the up-and-coming fight, and we have enough health. So I won't have to eat a ration for this trick to show. What's going to happen is we're actually going to do the same trick that we did with the Stinger missiles, but we're going to do it with the PSG-1. In this case, this allows us to actually run with the sniper rifle, which normally cannot be done. So we're just going to go forward. And initiate the cutscene. And I apologize if you can hear the controller mashing. The original game, there is no skip text dialogue button. Like, you can't hit double triangle to do that. You literally just have to mash. Same trick as before. We're going to start with the chaff grenade. We're then going to do the weapon glitch, swap to the PSG-1, and then run with the rifle. This will allow us to actually beat this boss incredibly easy, if done right. And that's Sniper Wolf. Fight's over. Now, the reason why that works is because the developers never intended you to actually be able to move with the sniper rifle. So, because it's registering you as supposed to being only in one fixed position, the prone position, you're actually able to pass through the invisible barrier that's there, because there is an invisible barrier that causes Sniper Wolf to take a free shot at you if you try to approach. But because of the fact that we're using the sniper rifle and it's in our hands at the time, the game doesn't register that wall for some reason. You're not considered being able to pass through because you're not supposed to be able to move. And it just allows us to phase through that little check and then go right into the final trigger. Which the final trigger is actually always live there, which what starts the cutscene trigger is actually always live. It's actually just a few steps past the plane where you would normally get shot by Sniper Wolf if you tried to approach during the fight. So it's always live and it's always in that entire area. So we skip the getting shot animation, but we're then able to then trigger the actual cutscene. And that's why we're able to skip that fight, which makes it the final fight we can actually skip in the entire run for a total of 7 bosses skipped. As I mentioned earlier, if we skipped about 35 minutes before that, this fight can take maybe about 2 to 3 minutes sometimes if you're unpracticed with it. If you get it really good, you could probably get it within 1 minute. But for sake of argument, we'll probably say that we skipped maybe 40 minutes of the run. So we'll use the 1 ration here. It's actually, I think, ration number 2 in this run, because I think I used one earlier for a safety. But this is where we would normally save the 1 ration in the extreme run. In the extreme run, there is a section coming up known as the Hellevator. And the Hellevator has 3 guards that show up, and you have no gun to fight them at all. Because of that, we have to find another way of eliminating them whilst not taking as much damage as possible. And the method we're going to try to use is we're actually going to try to use the weapon throw glitch, and we're going to actually try to throw these guards off the elevator. But it's a lot harder than it sounds. And also, you don't have as much health because of the glitches we were using and the amount of damage that we take. So it's actually a really tough fight. So we try to save the 1 ration on the Big Boss Extreme Run. We try to save it for that section. Throw a chaff grenade here when you see the ridge. This will be our final chaff. And then we're going to do the disc swap. So coming into the blast furnace is the one and only time we're actually going to use the sniper rifle to get rid of 1 guard. And normal difficulty, it's not important at all. But in extreme difficulty and in hard difficulty, because they have a much larger field of vision, they will see you when you have to go underneath the crane. So to avoid this, we're going to use the rifle and take out the 1 guard. And now comes the infamous crane of annoyance. Now that walking animation that we were using with Snake, we cannot do that. Oh, that was a good crane. We cannot do that while crouched, which causes us to have to freeze in place. Silence footstep glitch. I was supposed to flip him there and I messed it up. Now, going into this room here is completely optional at this point. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the body armor and I'm going to grab some spare chaff grenades just to kind of be safe in this particular part. But normally in an actual run, you would not come here this early. You would not come here until you're able to actually restock ammo on the Stinger missile. So as you saw there, that was the body armor. And we're actually going to equip that. And we picked up some chaff grenades. Now this elevator doesn't spawn instantly, so what we're actually going to do is manipulate it by leaving the room and then re-entering the room. And in doing so, the elevator will now instantaneously be there. And this is going to be the elevator fight. So I'm wearing the body armor now in preparation for this, and it's going to make it look easy because of it, but imagine this on extreme where we have enough life to basically be at just the F and no body armor, and you have to get hit only once. If you get hit twice, chances are you're dead. Notice that this is normal difficulty, and that's with the body armor, and I still took that much damage. Imagine doing this without the body armor on extreme difficulty where they have a harder hit cycle. It's tough, and you have no gun. You technically have a PSG-1, but you're never gonna pull that off. And the stun grenades actually will not help you in this fight because you cannot kill them when they're on the floor, because there's no first-person kind of shooting, even though the PSG-1 has it. So there is no way of actually throwing the stun grenade and then shooting with the PSG-1. It's not a thing you're going to be able to do. So you really just have to do like what you saw there, where either you punch or flip them off the elevator, and that is literally your only option, and it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of trial and error. So practice up, and it will eventually pay itself off. So we're just going to throw one chaff grenade here to avoid this turret camera. And if you follow this line, you won't hit any of the claymores that are actually in this room, because there are some loot boxes around for ammo and such, but they're all protected by claymore mines, so avoid them. Just utterly avoid them, especially for this category of run. So this is the codec elevator, as I call it, because we're going to get a call in a couple seconds going down, and the next time we visit this elevator on our way back to the blast furnace in about maybe 12 minutes, we're going to get another call going back up, and then another call coming back down. So we're going to be going into the Vulcan Raven fight now, and there is a setup to do an infinite combo on him using the Nikita missiles. And because this is normal difficulty, his position is going to be different than that of extreme. So I'm going to do the fight and showcase what the infinite combo is. Also, I'm going to show after the fight, depending which pattern he gives me, what the alternative pattern would be if he was still in normal difficulty. And then I'll showcase where he would be and where you would have to stand for the extreme fight. So there is, like I said, the infinite combo with the Nikita missile, and the way it works is basically if you shoot him with the Nikita, what's going to happen is his invulnerability frames are actually going to extend to his weapon and the bullets. And what that means is because they cannot be interacted with, they can't interact with the missiles that you're throwing after the initial volley, and you could just keep infinitely hitting him, and he won't be able to shoot the missile. But it just takes a little bit of setup, and you'll see that right here. almost messed that up there. So you don't want to let the missile actually pass him, otherwise it resets his targeting. If you feel like your missile is actually going to pass him, just unequip and re-equip the Nikita, and it'll cause it to explode right then and there, and you'll deal the damage. So as you saw on, I think, missile like number 5, I actually did that strat because I was a little too far to the left. But if you follow a straight line like that throughout the fight, you'll actually be able to get the infinite combo on him, and it takes 10 missiles, I believe, to finish him off, even on extreme. It's probably 9 maybe on normal, like 10 on extreme, with like 1 extra hit or something. But the alternate pattern he could do, this is for normal, I'll do the extreme one just after, is he'll walk down here, as you saw. In this particular case, he started shooting, right? So he was shooting here, and that lets you know, if you hear shooting, that he's going to round this corner. So when you first start and you go to this corner, this is your wait spot, and you're going to see what you hear or don't hear. If you hear him shooting, what's going to happen is he's going to round that bottom corner like you saw in the fight, and then you're going to round up this way and go to the other side, and then you're going to want to perch on this corner here. Unfortunately, he didn't just walk straight, because you want to start shooting when he's about here. Any closer, he'll shoot the missile and deal damage to you, and you can't afford to take any extra damage for the fight. So you want to avoid as much damage as you possibly can. So you want to wait till he's about physically here. He should be shooting or doing some, or just walking, and then you fire the missile and hit him. And if you follow that straight line, you'll always be able to get him. In this particular fight, for some reason, he went up this way after shooting, so I had to rechange my pattern to stand here and shoot, as you saw. The other pattern he can do, which is the more common pattern I usually see, is as soon as the fight starts, I run and I wait in this position here, and then on the mini-map, you'll see him actually walking down, and he'll actually just do this, and round about and come back this way. If that's the pattern in which he walks, since you're standing here, you're just going to go stand in this position here, and then shoot the same way. So what you're going to do is, you're going to wait for Vulcan Raven to pass this threshold. If you do it, because he's a big guy, if you do it when he's here and you shoot the missile, he's going to hear it, shoot the missile, and actually blow it up in your face, and you'll take damage standing right here. And you have to stand here in order to get the perfect timing. So you want to wait for him to be about here, and then you'll be able to fire the missile and not immediately alert him until it's closer. So the pattern you would go is shoot here, and then right at that line. That's where you would want the shot to be fired. Now these are for normal difficulty and for easy difficulty. For extreme difficulty, for the big boss, you're going to run to this corner here as soon as the fight starts. You're going to switch to the Nikita, and you're going to run to this corner here. What's going to happen is Vulcan Raven is always going to be here, and he's going to round this corner. So what you want to do is, as soon as the fight starts, you want to switch to Nikita, go here, wait for him that round that quarter immediately, and then throw your missile. What's going to happen is he's going to hit him right around there, and you're just going to infinitely fire until you beat him. That's the main strat, do the infinite combo on him. It's easy to do, but it's also very easy to mess up. So it just takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of finagling, but without too much effort, you should be able to get it. In the next room, we're going to throw 1 chaff grenade, just to get to the stinger missiles. We actually don't need the chaff grenade to get through this room at all. However, the stinger missile at the end that we want to grab is actually in view of the cameras. So we need to throw just that one, and we will never have to use a chaff grenade in this room again. Point in fact, we probably won't ever have to use a chaff grenade, God willing, at all for the rest of the run, except for one other time, which is with the elevator split room. We might need to use 1 to 2 grenades there at most, just to avoid that turret, because there is a chance the turret sees you, and you don't have to waste a grenade at that point. So we're just going to mash through here, and there's not a lot to do for these text boxes, and for this floor and the following floor. The main strat that we're going to go through is on the 3rd floor, where we actually do a melee cycle 3 times, back to back, in order to let some time pass for the guard's patrol route. If we go too early, the guard will actually see and alert us, whereas if we do this manipulation, we can actually slip right past him, and we can silence our footsteps by rapidly equipping and unequipping, which is what you saw me do earlier in the blast furnace. So what's going to happen is, I'm going to get a Coda call right here on Rex's back. We're going to mash through this, and then we're going to take that that ladder right there. Once we get off the ladder, I'm gonna do 3 punch kick combos, and then I'm gonna start running. And if you follow the line and follow when I start rapidly equipping and unequipping the weapon, you should get by him every time. The harder manipulation is when you're leaving the control room, because it's a different timing and different manipulation, and it's so tight that you can actually get seen even in normal difficulty. But we'll try to get it. So that was number 3, and we're just going to run through. Remember to always keep the grenades equipped. And right here, start. Now there's going to be an up and coming alert that's mandatory. So of the 6 times you're able to be detected in this game for Big Boss, this is one of the ones that's scripted, but it still counts. So you want to limit it as many times as you've been getting seen throughout the entire run because of one of these scripted alerts, and this is one of the main ones. The good thing is it's an easy alert to get out of because there's only 1 guard. If you kill the 1 guard, they'll spawn like 3 more, but if you don't kill the 1 guard, you don't have to worry about it. Throw on the body armor, flip, and run. And the alert will pretty much end once we get to Rex. If we kill that guard, where we're standing right now, more guards would actually spawn, and we'll have a harder time getting through this area. So we just opt to not kill him and just flip him over. The body armor, if you grabbed it early, like we did, it saves you a little bit of damage because it cuts damage in half. If you are running at the stricter route for Big Boss, where you don't waste those 40 seconds early on, you will not have that, and you'll just have to be really practiced in dodging that attack and actually getting through without taking damage. So right now we gotta hope for good rat. We lost a card key, and there's a rat that has it, and what we're gonna use is we're going to use the stinger missiles to lock onto the rat and find where he's at, and then get our card key back. So let's hope that the rat is here, making our life easy. Of course he is not. So the alternate route he could be is over here. This is area 2 of 3, and there he is. No! Oh, that jerk. That was bad. So now he's going to run in a completely different random direction. Now there's 3 exits. There's that one that you saw him there. And if you look on the mini map here, which you won't have on Extreme, is there's one vent that goes into the water down there, which we never want him to do. And then there's one that goes to this staircase here, which is the primary staircase we always want him to be at. And there he is. I'm going to make a save state here just to make sure we don't mess it up. And we got him. Now I did waste an extra couple missiles here, but that's okay. It's not going to affect our Rex fight, because we only need just enough to get through for Rex. So we're actually okay here. And then we'll switch back to chaff grenades. And then we're going to head back to the control room, and we're going to start putting in the PAL keys. This whole process in this version of the game, as opposed to the Twin Snakes version, is much, much longer. Probably about 15 minutes because of all the revisiting you have to do. You'll have to do this first card key, go to Vulcan Raven's warehouse, freeze the key, and it takes about 64 or 68 seconds within an area to change the temperature of the key and change the shape. Then we'll have to run back, put in that card key, and then go all the way to the blast furnace to warm the key and do it all over again. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Whereas in Twin Snakes, it's just, 2 pipes that instantly give you the key. Okay. That was nice. And you just slip past using this route here, unequip, re-equip, and makes it easier. Otherwise, if you have it equipped and you go in front of the wrong computer, he'll annotate that he has the wrong key. Now, this is the harder manipulation coming up. So I'm going to make a save state so we can try to get it right. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold left trigger, switch to the key card, and then we're going to do 1 melee cycle, full melee cycle, punch, punch, kick. and then we're going to start running. If we do this right, we should be able to just slip past the guard before getting noticed. And we got it. That is really, really tight. If you mess it up even just by a half a second, just like in the nuclear warhead storage building, you will get seen. It's the same kind of strict time frame as that particular run, especially with the increased vision of the harder difficulty. So it just takes a lot of practice, and even with enough practice, sometimes you just hesitate just a little bit. So the main trick is to open your menu as soon, like hold the menu button, like L2 in this case, to make sure that as soon as it loads you in, it opens. That way it gives you a chance to collect yourself and freeze the game, because while you're doing this, the game freezes. So the guard is not moving, it's not running around, it's actually frozen everything. So this is what allows us to get that punch sequence in and make sure we have not wasted any time in being able to run. So now we're just going to go freeze the key. There's not much really to say at this point in time. There is no special glitch or trick, unfortunately, at this point. A lot of the major tricks and glitches are over until we get to the actual Rex fight. The way you get through here, though, in any difficulty without being seen, is following this line here. If we just hug those walls and then hug the rail, we won't have an issue. The one thing we're going to do while we're in here, though, is we're going to grab some Stinger missile ammo. And the Stinger missile ammos are always going to be in the same spots. So the first box is here, and the second box is over here. Now, some people who have played this game a lot more than I have actually know the audio cue in the music to know when the card key is changed, to not have to worry about checking for it. I don't know what the audio cue is yet for this, and unfortunately, unlike the hotkey where we have a visual cue, there's an actual person that we can watch to time the card keys change, we don't have that here. So we just have to use the music to the best of our ability and try to arrange where it's going to change for us. And we're good. Now we're going to run through this room in the exact same manner as we did before. Again, if you follow this line, no matter which direction you're going, you won't get spotted, provided you run immediately. If you wait, the camera angles do shift a little bit and one of the cameras could see you. But if you run immediately and you follow that line, you'll never get spotted, no matter what difficulty. So if you're learning this game for the first time, and you plan on playing this game on easy, that strat still works. Like I said, it works on every difficulty. So it just makes your life a little bit easier. And especially if you have the grenade in your hand, you get the faster run speed. So we're going to do the same manipulation as we did the last couple times with this guard. And then we're going to put in the cold key. And then we're just going to repeat for the hot key afterwards. Now in this particular room, this pattern is the same again in all difficulties. When you're going to the blast furnace, just take this aisle, and the aisle that's immediately to our right, when we're returning, we're going to use that aisle. And this is true on expert, as well as, or extreme, I'm sorry, not expert, as well as hard, normal, and easy. So these are the open aisles when you're running through this area, just to minimize your time here, because we're going to have the hotkey, and we don't want to have the key change shape into either the yellow key or the blue key. And lottery roll if we get seen. If we get spotted, we do not have to burn a chaff grenade. If we do not get spotted, we will have to burn the chaff grenade. Now that room where we went to grab the body armor originally, we are going to head to that room again, and we're going to pick up 2 boxes of Stinger ammo. And we need those boxes in order to have just enough ammo to finish the Rex fight. Okay, so now we have a visual cue that we can use for the pallet key. So as you see, it's yellow still. What we're going to do is we're going to watch the guard that's on the upper floor. When he gets to a specific point, we're going to be able to have the card change. So what's going to happen is the guard's going to do his patrol. When he gets to the middle platform after going to the top floor, he's going to come back down to the middle floor. When he turns left and goes forward down that walkway, that's our timing. So right now he's on the middle platform. He's going to head upstairs. He's going to walk around, and then when he comes back to that floor that he was on. So now he's coming back. He's going to turn left, walk, and then turn right, and that'll be our timing. Right here, when he walks to this position, this is when you can immediately go into the elevator room and have the red key. But for the purpose of education, we're going to actually look at the card key and show that it's red. So here we're going to get our final codec call on this elevator, and it's going to be a long one from Naomi. So I'm just going to mash through once it shows up. Not really much to say here. And then we're going to head through the warehouse on the right side aisle like I had mentioned earlier. It's a lot of bashing in this game. So just like I said, we're going to take the right side aisle and just be on our way. Again, this works on the extreme route for Big Boss runs. And you can only get Big Boss on extreme, for the record. I'm going to throw one chaff grenade here just to pick up some extra Stinger missile ammo. Normally you can skip this ammo box. It didn't go. But I wasted a few missiles on that rat, and I just want to have a little bit of extra safety. We don't need any more of the chaff grenade, so I'm okay with spending another one. But normally you skip that box because you get rat first try, and you only waste the one missile. But because I wasted like 3, I wanted to just grab a few extra. Alright, this will be the last time we manipulate the guard. And in total, you manipulate the guard going toward the control room a total of 4 times. 1 for the alert, and then 1 for each color of card key. And then you only manipulate the guard running away from the control room twice, for blue and yellow. This is where we find out that he's been our brother the whole time, with his cool sunglasses. And we're going to mash select for the codec. And we're going to call Otacon so that he can open the door for us. In Twin Snakes, you can actually hold the codec button so that when you finish that first phone call, it immediately brings you to the next one. And you can just dial Otacon right from there. But we don't have that option here, so we just have to mash. Alright, door's open. Also, in Twin Snakes, there's like a gas mask just randomly sitting right here. As if this room was meant to be nice to the person it trapped inside with gas. I don't know. It was a safety feature, I guess, in the Twin Snakes. So we're going to make our way to the Rex fight. And if done right, we can actually manipulate it to where we take little to no damage. And if done wrong, we will take a boatload of damage. make a save state. And then we're going to aim our Stinger Missile right here. And as soon as Rex roars, we're going to throw our first missile. Run backwards to the right, run forward, aim, shoot, run forward, and cut left. Run back, dodge the bullets, and repeat. So this circle square pattern is what we need to do the entire fight. There is a way of shooting here and getting an extra shot off if you're fast enough, but it's a little tricky if you're unpracticed. And then this can happen. So I had to just recover that fight because I got really bad RNG when I tried to show the faster method. It's a really tight window, but you can get 2 shots off every pass instead of every one. It cuts the fight down in half, obviously. So we're going to do a very similar strat, except this time, instead of shooting at the radar, we're going to be shooting at Liquid himself in the cockpit. But the same idea of pattern. We're going to dodge the bullets, force him to shoot missiles, and then shoot him while dodging the missiles. Good fight. So as you notice, the last 2 passes I did a double shot. I find it easier on round 2 of Rex.
Sleeping late as usual. A snake.
I'm gonna let this play out.
Liquid. You're still alive. I won't die as long as you still live. Too bad. It looks like your revolution was a failure. Just because you've destroyed Metal Gear doesn't mean I am done fighting. Fighting? What are you really after? A world where warriors like us are honored as we once were, as we should be. That was Big Boss's fantasy. It was his dying wish. When he was young, during the Cold War, the world needed men like us. We were valued then. We were desired. But things, are different now. With all the liars and hypocrites running the world, war isn't what it used to be. We're losing our place in a world that no longer needs us. A world that now spurns our very existence. You should know that as well as I do. After I launch this weapon and get our $1 billion, we'll be able to bring chaos and honor back to this world gone soft. Conflict will breed conflict. New hatreds will arise. Then, we'll steadily expand our sphere of influence.
But as long as there are people, there will always be war.
But the problem is balance. Father knew what type of a balance was best.
Is that the only reason?
Isn't it reason enough for warriors such as us?
I don't want that kind of world.
Ha! You lie! So why are you here then? Why do you continue to follow your orders while your superiors betray you? Why did you come here? Well, I'll tell you then. You enjoy all the killing. That's why.
What?
Are you denying it? Haven't you already killed most of my comrades?
That was...
I watched your face when you did it. It was filled with the joy of battle.
You're wrong.
There's a killer inside you. You don't have to deny it. We were created to be that way.
Created?
I still love that cutscene to this day. As I was saying with Rex 2, I find the double shot to be easier because you have a big chin to hit on Rex, which counts as hitting the cockpit. Whereas with the Ray Dome, it's kind of tucked behind the head, and the head is like a big T, so it can block the shot sometimes. So that one I find a little bit harder, and the timing for it is a little bit different because of also travel distance. So now we're just going to mash through the final little bit of text and one of the last few cutscenes. And there is technically an infinite combo that you can do on Liquid. I will try to show it, but I'm really bad at it. It takes a lot of practice. It's really hard to do. And we lose 30 seconds to this guy because he wants to monologue.
If you win, you might still be able to save her.
But what we're going to do is, right before the fight starts, I'm going to make a save state. And then I'm going to show a couple times at least trying to get him to the infinite combo. And it used the same corner that we did in Twin Snakes, which was the top right corner. But the difference is, in this game, all the edges can be fallen off of. And you have to knock Liquid off.
How about you, Snake?
So here we go. Throw, run here, throw, and then try to get the combo. Nope. We don't want to do the kick. We just want to double punch. And for some reason, it's still registered.
How about you, Snake?
This trick sucks. If done right, you can beat him in like 15 seconds though. Yeah, I'm just gonna fight the fight the normal way.
How about you, Snake?
And I'm doing really badly in this fight right now. I'm just gonna restart because I lost way too much time. And unlike in Twin Snakes, where you just have to bring his health to 0, in this original version of the game, you actually have to knock him off Rex's head, which makes it a little bit harder because if you bring him to 0, but he's still on Rex's body, you won't win the fight, and he'll actually recover the last little leg of his health. And you'll have to redo that.
Nice shot! Better hurry! It's going to blow!
See, and sometimes he'll do that and jump to the side when you go to knock him down, and just throws your whole timing off. Now I gotta be careful. If I knock him off properly now, I'll win the fight. So I'm gonna try to bait him to do his headbutt. Ah, I missed the first punch. That would have been enough to actually win that fight. And that's the fight. At this point, we are no longer scared of losing Big Boss. Have we done everything correctly up until this point? The one thing we want to do, though, is try to get out as fast as possible.
I'll drive.
So there's one small manipulation that we do here just to limit the amount of damage we take, because in Extreme, we don't have rations anymore.
Darn, no.
So we stand here, wait for this guard, and then grab him.
I got him. Let's go.
Periodically re-choke him just to keep him as a shield, and face in this position.
I got it. Snake, jump in.
Once he says jump in, let him go, and go inside the vehicle. He'll actually run that guy over, and the important thing about that is it gets rid of him, number one. It also doesn't count as you killing the guard, so it's one less death you have to worry, or one less kill that you have to worry about ruining your Big Boss run. Because in this game you're only allowed, I think, 22 kills, and then after that you lose Big Boss.
Uh-oh, Snake. It's a checkpoint. Here they come.
Destroy that barrel, and destroy this barrel.
Snake, good job, Snake. Let's go.
Now in Twin Snakes we save the guard over here by the back of the truck last. In this version we actually take him out first.
Here they come.
And then these two we actually just sweep through.
Snake, you gotta clear a path. You did it, Snake.
And next is Liquid. And we follow the same strat we do in the Twin Snakes video, where we wait for him to raise his gun and then sweep into him to shoot him. The difference is we can't actually aim up or down. Even though our camera looks up or down, the gun doesn't move. So we can't actually aim at him when he's ducking. We have to just wait for him to raise his gun and take a shot at him. See if I can get a transition, and I did. I did get a transition hit there. Third person view for some reason allows that bullet to be a little bit changed in trajectory, and the trajectory changes in such a way that you can actually hit them during the transition. Coming up, I'm going to try to show what is known as the magic pixel, which is when he's driving next to you, you can actually position your gun in a specific spot to where you never have to move. And I think this is it. Yes, this is the magic pixel right here. Come on, hit him. There we go. I think one more hit and we're good. Yep, and this is where time would stop on this version of the game. In Twin Snakes, you wait for the white flash. For this version of the game, time officially stops as far as your speed run is concerned once you see Otacon/Meryl start talking. And now we just smash through the rest of the credits. I will be muting the ending cutscene song for copyright reasons. So we'll just kind of talk over that and go over some of the details with this run. Again, I apologize about the stair sequence earlier. The headset that I was using kind of just messed up. The audio jack port on my PC is loose. So I shifted the wrong way and it caused the audio to get all jacked up, and then I was trying to fix the actual demonstration of the run there, and it's just a little messed up. So I hope the pattern that we were going for, trying to show for when to cook the grenade and when to release the grenade, was clear. We did get one run in there where we got to actually see what the proper release times were, even though my voice wasn't activated there. I was trying to talk and then it wasn't registering, so I looked down and I noticed the recording wasn't actually getting my voice, so I had to fix that. So I try to do it a couple more times after that. But hopefully you get the idea of how the inputs work. That's why I have the input layout for this run. So you can kind of match and see what it is that we're pressing. But this has been Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1. The official PC port version of this game is completely different because there's an actual God mode glitch in that game because they actually included using the number pad for your weapon. So instead of holding L2 or R2 to go through your items, you can actually use the number keys as if you were playing Doom or Wolfenstein. For any classic PC player, the way you use your numbers to change your weapon cycles, you're actually able to do that in the PC port, which allows you to do some really glitchy things. And the PSG-1 is actually used for a immortal glitch where you're immune to anything except death zones. So if you fall down a pit, for example, you'll still die. But as far as being hit by enemies, as far as being able to take damage from virtually anything, you are God mode. Also, there's a lot more out of bounds glitches in that port of the game because it was recreated by a team of 10 people, I think, for the PC port. And the run is actually like 40 minutes long. You can actually get to disc 2 in 15 minutes. Whereas in this version of the game, we don't get to disc 2 until about maybe close to half an hour in. And then you finish the last half hour or so-ish of the run. We were a little slower here for demonstration purposes. My average times, because I'm still learning this game as well, is still probably about 90 minutes for completion. So we took about an extra 20, 24 minutes to go through this run for tutorial purposes. Again, most of the strats that we saw here are intended to be used for Big Boss, but they're not the only strats you can use. And you can still get Big Boss without this trick. The trick of skipping all of these bosses, like I said, only skips maybe about 40 minutes of the game. And you have a 3-hour window to actually get Big Boss as far as the time constraint is concerned. So the next video I might go through is a all bosses run, where you actually go over the strats of the bosses that we skipped and how to actually go through those fights properly and efficiently. You can still get all the same achievements done though with that route. It just takes a little longer, but you actually get to play the game through, which is nice. So it's a little bit more akin to the Twin Snakes version of the speedrun, where there's no boss skips per se. There's just execution with the bosses and how to properly get through each fight with as little effort as possible. Even though there's a lot of practice that goes involved with those fights. So we might go over that one next, and we can use some of the strats that we saw here to go through that run. And there is some slight differences with where our ammo is being used, for example, because there's more areas that we have to go through. Case in point, we skipped over the entire ninja fight in this one, and we actually need 1 or 2 Nikitas to get through that area. 1 if done right, 2 if you mess up the first missile, to get through the gas room area so you can break the floor. So there's a few different optimizations that are there. There's a optimization in regards to how to do the Mantis fight as well as the ninja fight, because we can't phase skip ninja. In Twin Snakes, as you saw in the previous video, we're able to lock him into his first phase with the sword out. In this version of the game, the only way we can actually do that is by infinitely throwing chaff grenades, and because this is not an infinite ammo run with the bandana, you would not be able to do that. So we would actually have to go through the phases, but we optimize it in a way to where you can get through each of his sections of fights as efficiently as possible, because we can tell where he's going to be and how to get to him as fast as possible. It's really unfortunate that I had to mute this for the purpose of the video because of copyright, because it's such a pretty cool jam, or at least maybe it's my nostalgia from this game from so many years ago. I've always liked the outro credits. We're going to go see what our score screen is. That's what we mostly care about as far as speedrunning. We try to use IGT in-game time with this run. We do have real-time attack, the RTA, which in this case for us today was about an hour and 49 minutes or so, 48 minutes. The IGT actually only counts the times in which you have actual access to your character and while you're playing. But then it doesn't include cutscenes. It does include cutscenes. But because we skipped through all the cutscenes, it's mostly just looking at your playability time. But all the immunity times where you lose control of Snake and so on, it actually kind of cuts a lot of that out. So a lot of people care about more the in-game time. But Metal Gear Solid, both Twin Snakes, Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, all of them, they do a very, very good job of actually keeping up on your time. So we got the last little conversation that's coming up here that's unskippable. And in this version, it's shorter. So this version, it's a bit shorter because it doesn't combine the two endings between Meryl and Otacon. In the Twin Snakes, it does because no one dies. Even Meryl doesn't really die. You just kind of don't save her in the same fashion. So it combines the conversation he has about talking about what should we do about the woman and continuing surveillance. In this version, because she legitimately does die, there's a whole cutscene of Snake crying over her corpse that we don't get that section of the conversation. So even that is faster. So the in-game time that we have is an hour 43 minutes for this. Being found was 5 times, which is fine. I believe you have to be found less than 6, though most people get it down to 4, because there's the 2 or 3 that are scripted, and then like there's 2 that are scripted, and then there's 2 that are kind of forced to get. I would have had a 6th had that camera in the split elevator room in disc 2 had actually seen me as it was loading me in. You can't avoid that. It's purely luck if the camera actually sees you or doesn't see you. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no manipulation of that. Enemies killed. We had 13 enemies killed in this run, which is well within our 22 kills that were allotted. And we used 2 rations in this run, which is 1 more than we would have wanted. If we had taken these exact stats, lowered the ration by 1, we would have actually had Big Boss. We would have completed it within the timeline. We would have not used any continues. We would have been found within the allotted amount of times, and we would have killed within the allotted amount of enemies. Anything more than this would result in not getting Big Boss, but getting the next title after that, which I don't know if it's Boss or if it's Snake or Gray Fox. It's one of those titles would be the next best one. But this has been Metal Gear Solid once again. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little something. Hope you had fun with it. If you want to learn more about this game, how to speedrun it, or just how to play through it, definitely check out the professional runners of the game. Runners such as Jaguar King, Plywood, Wallman, and various others. Of course, MG Slade, who found a lot of the glitches that are used in this run. They know the game much better than I could ever explain. So if you're interested in running more or learning more of this, I definitely recommend checking out those runners. You can check them out on GDQ, Games Done Quick, or you can check out either their Twitch pages or their YouTube channels, and they'll have much more content for Metal Gear. They'll also have Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, and 5, I believe. I believe Jaguar has Metal Gear Solid 5 on there, as well as Twin Snakes. So hope you guys look forward to seeing some more. And I'll try to do the next video with the all bosses encounter and try to show you how those fights are actually optimized for that encounter run, which makes Big Boss a lot harder, actually, because you don't get healed after boss fights, unlike in Twin Snakes. In Twin Snakes, when you finish a boss fight, you get full health. In this one, because of the rank up system, you don't. And on Extreme, you actually don't heal from some of the rank ups. You get barely any health back. Because of this, your ration consumption can be a lot tighter. We skip a good portion of the game, a third of the game, to consume or to conserve the use of that one ration that we're going to get. Imagine that you have to go through those 5 bosses without a ration, because the one ration that we actually get is from Otacon after those 5. There's no rations laying around on Extreme. You're not going to find them inside of a control room or anything like that, or under a table. They don't spawn physically. The only time they can actually spawn, if lucky, is from enemies, and there's only a few enemies in the game that have a proc chance to drop you a ration. So imagine having to go through all of the things that we went through today on extreme difficulty with 0 rations for the bosses that we skipped, as well as the Hind D fight afterwards and the Sniper Wolf fight. It's a really tough challenge. The all bosses route is a lot harder than the glitched route. The only hard part of the glitched route, truthfully, in my opinion, is probably the elevator. That elevator fight is horrendous. That is probably the worst fight. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.